and dip inside. Where Miller played as well as I think I've seen him, and if you look at what happened in the unfortunate luck with Derwin James, Miller actually at this point has had the more impactful career because of games played and the fact that the best ability is availability.
Mm-hmm. And with that, headed into week 2, Monday Night Football, the official opening of Vegas. What's your key for them to, I hate to say win because I don't know if we're there yet, but at least compete and not get smacked around? What's your key for that game?
It comes down to, it's funny, it comes down to one person, Cam Jordan. If the Raiders can make sure that he's doubled, even chipped, they have a shot. I am not convinced about the Saints secondary. I know that people want to talk about Janoris Jenkins and the fact that he took one to the house against Tom Brady. I get that, but and I understand also the fact that 8 of his 24 career interceptions are pick sixes. That's a lot. However, he has a tendency to get clutchy and grabby by evidence of the 8 defensive pass interferences and the 7 defensive holding calls in the last 3 years.
So, with their pass rush specifically, I mean, you already know what you're going to get with Cam Jordan. Surprisingly, the Saints linebackers, their coverage is actually pretty decent. You got Anzalon, you got Davis. But what do you feel like outside of, Jenkins and maybe a couple big splash pass plays here and there? What's the most consistent thing you could see the Raiders taking advantage of on that Saints defense?
Now, when they played Tampa, they went to a nickel and they dropped Caden Ellis out. I think that if they are going to try that with Dennis Allen going to a nickel, I see Waller, who was targeted early against the Panthers, having the same bit of success, where pretty much I honestly think
shout out to Tahir Whitehead.
Tahir Whitehead is the worst.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to
say trash, painful, hot garbage.
Go ahead, continue. My bad.
All that muscle, no ability.
I hate that dude. Like $1 million body, 10-cent brain, clown. I see Waller. I see Renfro. I just don't want to see any more of Jason Witten getting a red zone target ever.
I just don't understand why they really signed him. Like, what was the point of signing a dude who can't get separation anymore, might be a slightly decent blocker, and he's like 30,000 years old? It's
because John Gruden said that he could mentor the young tight end. Darren Waller is 28.
God damn it.
Not this shit again.
Are we on Skype still?
Yeah, but this didn't happen last week. It didn't happen
the week before.
It didn't happen Monday. What the fuck? God damn it. Better not be Tahir Whitehead's fault somehow. Motherfucker finally decides to break up some coverage and it's ours.
Oh, man.
Well, hopefully you can call back in again, but for those of you who don't know, Terrence Biggs, he's one of the pettiest dudes on Twitter. He's someone we've been working with and for a minute. He's like Kenny said, he's all-around dad, but also former semi-pro defensive lineman, big into wrestling. So he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. We enjoy getting to speak with him, and even in just that few minutes, you could see how he really understands and breaks down the game. Which, I think especially for us, it really starts up front, which is what he was talking about in regards to Colton Miller, the Raiders' left tackle, who a lot of people felt was a reach, but
Total reach.
He's actually developed. He's come along, and even if he's not a Jonathan Ogden ever, he might still be a solid 6 to 8 year starting left tackle, borderline Pro Bowler.
I was cool with Tremaine Edmonds or Derwin James, but
I mean, Derwin's been hurt 2 out of 3 years.
yeah, but who knows if he would have got hurt for the Raiders? He got hurt for the Chargers.
Stop it, bro.
That's the different. Bro,
Stop.
It's different. It's different. But you think Michael Jordan still would have been Michael if he had somehow gone to the Knicks? Situations matter.
So if Carl Joseph there went to the Raiders, he would have been hurt all those years.
Nah, he would have just been probably a decent safety for like some
like
team.
if he went to the Cardinals.
Like you could hide him. Yeah, he probably had 1 Pro Bowl season.
Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Everyone's going through some shit today.
and everything.
Yeah.
We published on the wrong feed.
Eric goes with some burpees. Izzy goes with some lap. What's going on?
Set your propositions. Like,
Yeah, this is what happens when we don't feature.
Where all those tacos at, man? On Skype, everything.
But yeah, man. Outside of that, other shit from week 1.
well, let's just say, surprisingly, holding calls were down like 78%.
I know. I
Without
saw
a
that.
preseason, too. That's surprising.
Which tells me a lot of these teams are really just going to be sticking to the run game, at least probably these next 2 to 4 weeks.
That's what the Browns were doing. They pretty much were pounding it into Cincinnati all night.
Until they really find their rhythm in the passing game, because like between that, I felt like there were a lot of receivers who got yards, like for my FanDuel and fantasy that I was watching, but they didn't necessarily get the touchdowns.
What's a holding call?
So a holding call is when the linemen who are blocking, one of them basically holds the shoulder of the other one when they're already past them.
Okay, I'll explain it.
Yeah,
That was
it's
terrible.
hard to
I'm really
explain.
disappointed from a lineman explaining that.
From a lineman who went to a high school that had a bunch of D1 guys on it, you can't explain the rules. It's okay. Yeah, I got you. So when it comes to holding, there's 3 different kinds. There's defensive holding, offensive holding, and then, like pass interference. That's technically still holding. So defensive, it could be a corner or a linebacker jamming up a receiver. Like after 5 yards, you can't touch the receivers on defense. As far as like how you're covering them, so you can do whatever.
You're just confusing the fuck out of her.
Nah, I'm
Go ahead.
a foundation.
Go ahead.
Relax. So defensive holding, you just can't beat up the offensive players. Like once they snap the ball, like you have to lay off. Offensive holding, when the offensive line, they're blocking and like the chest area for a lineman, that's like the target zone. Anything outside of that, if you are clutching their shoulder pads, or if they're trying to run away from you and you're still trying to block them, that's seen as holding. Or
they do that so they don't get to the quarterback?
Yeah. Or like if they messed up and got beat and they're like, I'm going to hold you the last second, or like push you in the back and you fall down and hopefully the ref doesn't call
That's
it.
not holding. That's
clipping.
roughing the passer. That's unnecessary roughness.
It depends. The way they call it. It depends on
I feel
how
like
you
this
call
is
it.
how you played ball back in the day.
Yeah,
If you're an offensive lineman, it depends on how they call it. Because sometimes you got to just do something really dirty the first play of the game to see how it's going to go. And then other times,
in my mind, the only thing that is holding is like if somebody's already passing, you grab them.
I agree.
The other kind of holding you described, like it can go 50-50.
That's South Bay officiated for you.
Yeah, ideally what you're talking about, yeah, your hands should be in the middle target zone, but your hands end up all over the fucking place.
Yeah, but they teach that that's like pretty much the basic.
Yeah, I understand.
But then they're ticky-tack because let's say let's say you hit a defensive lineman in the chest. Usually you hit anybody who has shoulder pads on. Shoulder pads are automatically going to go up. The head's going to go up because that's the target zone. So if you're doing that and you're doing it too well, and
that's how I know you didn't go to a passing school, because they taught you that.
No, that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen, because I've seen some horrible calls.
Drop, get the ball out offense.
Oh, you mean like the practice squad offense on paper where everybody's like,
honestly, your hands shouldn't even be, if you're doing it right, your hands shouldn't even be locked in that long.
You'd be surprised.
It should be a punch.
We're not talking about holding, though. We're talking about holding.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So if you're doing, but some linemen just latch on to a defensive lineman because they know, like, okay,
that's pussyfoot.
This is Aaron Donald. Like, I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna latch on to him and hold him. That's also misogyny right there. But yeah, so it's a way you call it.
Fine.
It depends.
I'll take that one.
That's just a baseline explanation of holding, but referees hold it. They call it all different up and down the spectrum.
We should just get a pink flag and just throw it up for misogyny. Like,
is that when the yellow flag goes up?
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Misogyny.
The patriarchy. 15-yard penalty. Reset the down.
Jesus.
But yeah, so holding, they haven't been calling. Technically, you could call holding every play, especially just because linemen, massive grown men fighting, quarterbacks. They're protecting the quarterback, or you're trying to get to the quarterback, or you're blitzing and you're trying to tackle the running back. You can literally call holding every play. It's pretty much just hand fighting. It's pretty much fighting in a phone booth. So, you know.
So, the other topic you announced this week on our IG, the Hall of Fame class, prospects, whatever you want to call it, potentials, were released today. Among them were the great Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Steven Jackson, Wes Welker, Roddy White, Heath Miller, DeBricker Sean Ferguson, Logan Mankins, Jared Allen, Justin Tuck, Kevin Williams, Gerard Mayo, and Charles Tillman.
Should probably say the names of those
Kevin
teams.
Williams has already been out the league 5 years?
Yeah, defensive tackle, Oklahoma State, 11th overall pick, went to Minnesota Vikings.
That's crazy. I can't believe it's already been 5 years.
Most of the players on this team have... Yeah,
5 years.
Most of the players on this list have actually given Eric
Miller 5 years.
A nightmare.
Well, definitely Charles Woodson and Peyton Manning definitely going to make it this year.
And Jared Allen, dude. Don't forget Minnesota.
He has like 170 career sacks or something like that. He
Yeah,
has an insane amount.
I mean,
I see 4 guys on that list.
Yeah, Manning, Johnson, Woodson. They're for sure going to get in.
Megatron, I don't know if he'll get it this year. Cause, I mean, if he stayed longer, I know it was with the Lions and everything.
He did all that in 10 years.
I know.
With terrible quarterback play for at least the first 7.
Yeah. But what if he stayed with Matt for another 2 years?
He probably would have eventually broken the receiving record.
Yeah.
In a season.
But
so who's the fourth
more
one?
Playoff games.
Jared Allen or Charles Tillman or...
I mean,
Charles Tillman has a bunch of forced fumbles and interceptions. He's like you'll get in on the 4th or 5th try. And he's also a Fed, so...
So Jared Allen?
Jared Allen has to be first ballot just based on...
Fed.
He's a Fed. Because I want the Feds to hear me in their right octave.
They've been listening to you.
I know. I know.
They're the Feds.
They probably... What if the dude who was my Lyft driver was a Fed?
He probably was.
Got a little bit too close. Yikes, man. Yikes. Is it because of the future joke I made on Twitter?
Possibly. You're too active on Twitter, man. I'm hearing you at 2 o'clock in the morning, man. My phone doesn't stop. Twitter. And my watch, too.
I be retweeting y'all shit. I be retweeting his stuff. I find stuff for y'all that y'all tweet. And it's like, let me just hit both of those and share that.
I don't think Roddy White is a Hall of Famer, but he's definitely...
Neither is Wes Welker.
He's definitely a Hall of Great. Like, yeah. He's definitely in that
He was
tier.
great.
He deserves to be mentioned.
Like...
He deserves to be remembered.
Julio Jones made you forget all about Roddy White, and that's sad.
What do you think about Ferguson, though?
Yeah,
Ferguson too.
Anybody named DeBricker Shaw?
Right.
I'm not fighting you, bro.
And I mean, he went out.
Fucking skillets for hands.
He went out. He could have latched on another 2 or 3 years. He could have played
another 4 years, probably.
Yeah, he was in good shape too.
Him and Nick Mangold wasted their whole career. The Jets wasted some of their best players.
No, they got those 3 AFC Championship games.
Do you even remember them?
Yeah, it was followed
was
by
it
the
3 or was it 2?
They got the 2 back to back.
One was competitive.
I mean, with Rex Ryan and
Sanchito.
Sanchito, that's racist.
Dirty Sanchito.
I thought they were reaching for him.
It's racist because he's Mexican, but he's the whitest Mexican I've ever met in my life.
Is he from Chabuco Hills or?
He went to
Mission
Modern
Viejo?
Day. Oh yeah, Mission Viejo. Yeah.
Mission Viejo.
All right. The other big news this week, and Kenny's